frog. Can I pet you tonight? Well, thank you. Don't be scared. You're such a cutie.
Good morning, everybody. Well, it's approaching afternoon, I think. It's a little after 11. It's still morning. I have been out in the workshop cleaning this morning. Things kind of go crazy out here when I'm working on 10 different projects. But I did want to stop in for a few minutes and show you the happiest of accidents. Sometimes when I'm sorting through things, I just come across a stack of papers or decide to quickly sew some papers into a folder or whatever. And I've been working on getting all of my Asian ephemera together, and let me say, that's probably such an insult to say Asian and just kind of include the whole 17 million square miles or whatever it is, just to include the whole of the continent. Or yeah, it's huge. I mean, it shares boundaries with what we consider other continents. So for me, though, there is a certain, maybe it's because my dad was in the Air Force when I was young, and he spent time in Japan. He spent time in Vietnam. He spent time traveling to different areas. I know he was in Korea. And there's a certain aesthetic. It's like this Chinese zodiac. It's the animals. Sometimes the Japanese, the geisha girls, the beautiful kabuki dancing, the flowers, the bamboo, which kind of, some of the elements cross from one culture into another, but it's so unfair to lump it all together. That said, I am attempting to learn a little bit about different parts of Asia. So look at this as rather a defining of different areas of Asia rather than me trying to clump everything together. I hope that makes sense. And this is going to take me some time, but first let me tell you about the happy accident. So this folder was, let me show you. You can see it in the middle here, this green color. I have more to do to this yet. I decided to use this because I really wanted this metal tab. And I wasn't quite sure when I sewed the signatures, and they are very small signatures. When I sewed them in, I wanted to go along with this valley here, and I wanted to make the signature small, which totally goes against learning about something so big, but this could end up being volume 1. I didn't really like this color of green for Asia. I'm not sure what I was thinking about doing to start with, and once I made it, I looked over, and this is the way so much happens for me. There are stacks of things going on all over the workshop, and I saw the stack of Asian ephemera that I was going through, Chinese, Japanese, Thailand, just all of these the different stands. There's all sorts of, I call them the stands, and you know what I mean. So many countries that the name ends in those 4 letters. So I'm just looking, and I thought, this could be a place to put some of the things that appeal to me that I want to learn more about as I learn about the different areas of Asia. And in order to cover up the front, I started, well, let me show you what I did because it's easier to just see it. Oh, if I can find my black alcohol ink. I have my iPad out here. I've been watching channels. I tell you, I do that, and I do. I watch other channels while I'm creating, even if I don't always comment. So, and I watch a lot of you. Let me get this straw. So what I did, I just put a drop of ink, and I used the straw to sort of blow it into these interesting shapes. But that still left the green background, which I just wasn't happy about. So I said, well, let's pull out the rust one more time. And as I started going over the top of that, I just fell in love with that. And it soaks in. I mean, it really soaks in. It almost looks like leather. And this folder is so thick, it really takes it. And even going right across the top of that dark ink. No wonder I can't keep ink pads. I mean, I use the heck out of ink pads. So, I don't know. I just really like that a lot. So, I cut out a piece that had this metal tab on it, and I will probably put something in there later. I'm not in any rush to do that. This is going to be a project that's ongoing. I will be listing a pack of ephemera that includes a lot of the Asian things that I have collected. You know, I will pull some things out to keep for myself, and I will continue to add to that. So I'm working on that today. This should not even be up here. This is not done. That's for another project that I hope you will see sometime in the future. So I just have this beautiful paper, and my very first lesson was to pull this book out, and I love these pages. This is a vintage language book. And I wasn't even sure what language it was. Now I see China here, but I had not come across that yet. And I'm looking at the characters, and I was maybe thinking Chinese, but I got online and searched for one of the phrases that I came across. Where is it? We have fluency drills. And this is so cool because you can see where people have been practicing, or a person, whoever owned this. So the characters, it does me no good to try to search for that. And I find that's one of the barriers to learning even more. When I find ephemera, I don't know where it's from. But putting in some of these phrases and asking Google to translate, it does seem to be Chinese. And, you know, maybe there's context in here that would make me say, oh yeah, definitely Chinese. Maybe I should spend some more time looking at this. But, you know, just flipping, and I do see some of the names that make me think Chinese. But again, this is my little book to learn more about the different parts of Asia, which is huge. I just love this wallpaper. This is not Asian. I think this was from a pack that is definitely, that might have been from one of the packs that started out in France. But I love the flowers, the gardens, Japanese gardens, the enormous amount of attention that goes into the Japanese gardens. And there is a garden over in Raleigh, the J.R. Wait, is it J.R. Ralston? J.A.? Hang on. We love to visit there, and I was going to do a video of our trip. It's the J.C. Ralston Arboretum. Gorgeous. It's closed right now. I might be able to find the old videos where Jason and I went over there, and I was going to put some stuff together. He was going to give me some of his footage from our trip over there, and I just never got it done. And, you know, some of you were even saying you couldn't wait to see the images from that. It's really beautiful, but goodness knows if I can even find it. But that said, I just love that aesthetic. I'm not in a place, well, I'm more in a place now maybe to do it. I think pine straw, pine trees, you could definitely work with that. But then I have other plants that, I don't know, maybe I will find a way to have a little area. One of the things that I think about is that since my greenhouse is so tiny, and I will probably not really have anything any bigger at any point. I don't want to take up too much of our yard space. We have other ideas and plans, and that's really the only spot that gets good enough sun to be able to grow vegetables. So there's no sense in expanding out into the pine trees. So I thought about creating a, like, sort of a little little magical area for myself in the greenhouse, focusing on one theme, like making the whole inside of the greenhouse a little fairy garden with a lot of miniatures, and also including just a very limited number of plants that I focus on and learn about. You know, I talk about urban homesteading, and I want to do that as much as I possibly can, but honestly, I need to continue to work within the space that I have. And limiting myself to a certain number of plants, I think is going to be, you know, I don't have room to have a huge tunnel to grow things in. I don't have room for an acre worth of garden. I don't have room to produce enough food to feed, you know, to go sell at farmers markets. And that's not my goal anyway. But it's easy to get, like they say, your eyes are bigger than your stomach sometimes. It's easy for my eyes to get bigger than what kind of land we have here. So I am thinking about that. But getting back to the point, it would be really neat to have a themed garden in there. And I've thought about a Japanese garden as one of the options. You know, I could totally clean up the floor of the greenhouse and put gravel in there, and everything I bring in could have that aesthetic, and I could choose plants that would complement all of that, even if that's not along the lines of Japanese. But I love the plant called horsetail. I need to look into that more, and it's got kind of that bamboo look. Yeah, anyway, that's what I'm thinking about. So this is a placemat from a Chinese restaurant. It's the Chinese Zodiac, and I'm just cutting this down into manageable pieces. And I did separate that. I didn't have to, but sometimes I like to do that sort of thing just to break up the page. And I definitely need to cut this down. This is going to be just my little study of Asia. It may get more focused. Maybe it's just a few parts of Asia, but I do want to learn more. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful, so many beautiful things there. Peoples, countries, landscapes, mountains, oceans. You know, like the southern part, it's the Indian Ocean. They are bound by the Pacific Ocean, and then all the way up, the landmass goes up to, I think, the Arctic Ocean. And, you know, we've got Russia. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. I wrote a poem about Asia one time, and I hope that I can find it. I really don't know. I think it was on my old website, amothersjournal.com, which now redirects to a bit of birdsong. That's just a chapter of my life that is over. That site was hacked, which was heartbreaking because I had about 10 years worth of, I dipped this in my coffee this morning. I could not believe it. I had just made a fresh cup of coffee, and it was sitting here hot and steaming, and I had all sorts of this gross water on here and Mod Podge, and I did that. I just did it, and I said, what in the world? It crossed my mind to try to save it, but then I thought, you know, this water's been sitting here for days. There's no telling what kind of bacteria is in there, so I dumped it out and made another cup. But I almost did it again. It's easy to do. It's so funny. I've seen other artists do that. I've done it. It's just not been caught on camera yet. So maybe I will stop for now. I just wanted to check in this morning. I'm working on the vlog for this week. I really want to get a lot listed. If there's anything you are looking for, if there is anything specific you're looking for, please let me know. My goal is to get more in the shop, and I'm getting better at focusing on that. It's a transition to be just doing this full time and prioritizing my days, my tasks every day, I should say. and not letting this take me into the night, you know, because I still need to have a life with Jason, my sweetheart. I still need to, you know, we need to have dinner. We need to go on our walks. We need to do the things that we do. So if there's anything specific you're looking for, please let me know. Okay, so there is the Chinese zodiac. And yeah, I've heard people say that, like, food, I guess, what would we call it? Ethnic? It becomes Americanized over here, and we're not really getting the full impact. Like, it is such a huge difference if Jason and I go to a Mexican restaurant that is like a chain restaurant where everything comes out and it feels like it's been microwaved. There is such a difference in that, which is really, we're not really getting a taste of Mexico, versus going 2 miles from here, or 3 miles, however far it is, to an authentic food truck Mexican restaurant where, I mean, there's almost a language barrier. These are authentic meals that come to us, and they are so different. They're so good. The tortillas are different. The meat is different. The way it's seasoned, just the authenticity. What you get, like when you order a taco, when I order one of these tacos, there's cilantro and lime, and the meat is seasoned differently, and it's not, you know, just this huge pile of grated cheddar cheese from Costco. And I'm not knocking that. You know, there's a time and a place for everything. But my point is this, you know, having this little placemat from probably a local restaurant, I don't know. I don't want to do a disservice to any country while I'm studying this. So please feel free to share your thoughts. I want this just to be a really pretty journal to go on the shelf. I've been wanting for a while to have a place to add ephemera that I come across. And I have fabric. I know that I have fabric from Sandra and from Jay that's an Asian themed. Karen, and you have sent me so many gorgeous things. I can't remember though. I don't think there was any Asian fabric. But, oh my goodness, I just love it. Thank you so much. Like, let's look at this card. This is Chinese. Flowers and butterflies. Chinese Ming Dynasty, 15th century. Silk makimono. Look at that. That is so beautiful. Like, I want to cut part of this out. Maybe I could copy this with handwriting and then do some cutting. That's just so beautiful. So I could do that. I could do that on here. But you know what? I drive myself crazy. I took all of my R2. Well, this doesn't have to be R2 because I'm not going to put water on top of this. I say that now, but you all know how I am, right? So if I said, maybe I won't do it on this page, but I want to. It needs to be layered. Flowers and butterflies. It's kind of hard to write on this bumpy paper. Where did that cut come from? So while I am writing this, let me tell you, one of my children, Joseph, who has 2 of my grandchildren, he had severe dyslexia. And I wondered at some point if he would ever read. He was falling through the cracks in public school, and because he felt his self-esteem just was, it was in the basement because he couldn't keep up, and I think he was totally lost just in so many ways. So we pulled him out to homeschool, and I had him privately tested every year because we did homeschool, and we ended up with a special, sort of a special education person who tested, who said that, you know, he had severe dyslexia. But anyway, Japanese appealed to him, and he studied that in 12th grade in homeschool, and it just clicked. It made perfect sense to him, which just blew my mind. But reading about all of these dynasties, and he really enjoys studying these different cultures. He can talk about Japanese history and all of these different periods of art, and like martial arts, different, you know, Chinese martial arts and Japanese martial arts. It just baffles me sometimes to hear him talk about it and to realize again how much he knows because it interests him. But that doesn't mean I know it, so I need to learn. So this word, makimono, I don't know if I'm even saying that right. So this is at the Smithsonian, the Freer Gallery of Art. What is a makimono? Let's look it up. Makimono. And you know what I'm going to do today? So I didn't take the maki definition. It says Japanese. May refer to horizontal type of Japanese hand scroll or scroll. Imakimono means picture scroll. Ooh, but so why does this say Chinese Ming Dynasty, 15th century? See, this is what I'm talking about. This is why it is so difficult for me to learn, and this is why I want to delve deeper into this. So let's say Chinese. Whoops. Chinese. Oh, well, that's nothing but ads. Ay. See, this is why it's just confusing to me, and I really want to know. It says Japanese makimono, a horizontal hand scroll containing either text or a captioned painting, intended to be viewed as it is unrolled from right to left, one segment at a time. Okay, so maybe it is a Japanese word and it made its way into Chinese art. So if I go to Google and put in Chinese makimono and look at images, it's showing me a lot of food. Ooh, wait, there's something. How interesting this is. Okay, so let me get back to what I'm doing for a minute, for a little bit. Let's cut this out. I'm not going to spend 30 minutes cutting this out, which probably totally goes against what would actually be anything authentic. because I think paper cutting is another, like origami paper, and then the paper cutting, there's a name, I'm trying to think of it. Yep, I'm going to tear this down the center, and let's tear it right across here. I like that. And honestly, let's go ahead and cut. I think everything for me turns into like a unit study. We all have different ways of journaling, the way we learn, the way we approach things. And for me, it's not that I set out to, to teach anybody anything or to turn it into some sort of lesson, although my kids would argue with that. It's just what appeals to me. And even in college, when I was studying English literature and the Romantic poets, I know I've told you this before, sometimes I would get, not reprimanded, but my teacher would have to pull me back on track because I got so interested in the lives of the poets and what, I felt like what was leading them to write what they wrote, that sometimes I would lose track of the actual content of what was being written, and themes and different technical terms like alliteration and imagery and things that she wanted me to look for. Well, one particular teacher, did I have any male English literature teachers? I didn't. They were all female. I had some male religion teachers. In fact, both of them were male. And my history teachers were male. My French professor was female. She was amazing. Wow, that seems like yesterday, and that was a long time ago. So this is going to evolve. This is going to evolve. I'm just going to enjoy working on this. Maybe I will take some watercolor crayons and, outline some areas over time and just turn it into somewhat of an art journal as we go. But I'm going to go for now. I'm not going to do a lot of editing on this. Thank you so much for watching. This was definitely a happy accident. I didn't expect this to look so. It looks leathery to me, and I just love that. I may do something else with some stenciling and ink on the front, but for now, this is where I am. Oh, and these tassels. So I made a few boho tassels. I love the way these look. It's just different types of trim and silk fabric that I've torn down, and sorry silk. Linda, like a couple of these pieces came from you. I love this. I did put a few of these in the shop, and I've been rusting safety pins. I'm going to be adding this to my inventory. That will be an ongoing addition. So you get a few safety pins and some paper clips. Everything does take time. Everything takes materials. And anyway, I just thank you for your support. So that's it. I will close for now, and I will see you soon.